What is up, and welcome back to another episode of the Team Member Perspective podcast training show. My name is Colter, your host, former top producing team member of 6 years. I learned how to sell multiple lines of insurance, specifically life and health products at a high level consistently. And now I'm teaching other team members, other agencies to be able to do the same. And so that's our whole goal with the Team Member Perspective group. Talking a little too fast, I gotta slow it down here. But with our Team Member Perspective group, we're teaching sales and persuasion, and we're teaching systems and processes. I believe that the more we understand about people, the more we understand about what's going on in their minds and how people make decisions, and more about human behavior and sales and persuasion, the more influential we will be. And I also believe that if we have a system, if we have a process that we can follow day in and day out that allows for us to be consistent, we will find consistency. And so Team Member Perspective, let's put it this way. Sales and persuasion, sales systems and processes had a baby. That is Team Member Perspective. That is what we do. And we get to the team member level to help team members, the ones that are in the seat, the ones that are on the front lines, answering the phone calls from angry customers, drumming up new business, trying to bring revenue into the agency, trying to sell life insurance with service calls, with lists, trying to sell disability insurance, supplemental health products. We are helping team members navigate those conversations, learn sales and persuasion, and learn systems and processes that are proven to get results. That's what we do. So our whole goal is to help team members sell more so that our agencies can hit their goals, so that our agencies can maximize revenue. I'm a big believer that the more money we have coming into the business, the better for everybody. More money for the agency, for the agent, more money to take care of the team. And so if we can find different ways to fine tune our process to become more influential, we're gonna sell more, we're gonna bring more revenue in, and everybody's going to be happier. Now, a big piece of consistent production, in my seat, guys, I've got a very unique perspective in regards to production in agencies, right? I was a team member for 6 years. I was in the seat. I know the nuances to your roles, to your days being a team member, right? Agents, I know the team member seat. I know it really well. I know drumming up new business. I know taking advantage of service calls. I know working the book and calling on lists. I know setting and holding review appointments with customers. And the nuances to selling within each of those areas is gonna be different, right? But I know the challenges that come with that. And, now that I've, been helping, coaching, training, I've been able to get an inside look into hundreds, if not thousands of agencies. And I've been able to help thousands of team members get to a new level in their production so they're making more money. Now that I've, been able to see the team member seat and see outside of the seat in thousands of different agencies, I have a very unique perspective on things. And I want to talk to you today about what I'm seeing in regards to producing consistently at a high level. There's a common denominator with every single agency that is consistent. There's a common denominator with every single team member that is consistent with their production, and it's accountability. Accountability is so crucial for us to hit our goals. Accountability is so important if we want to do big things. But accountability isn't easy to do. Accountability comes with its challenges. Agency owners, we want to hold our team members accountable. Office managers, sales managers, we want there to be some form of accountability. But it's a lot easier said than done. I could just say, hey, hold your team accountable. Be better at accountability. And you'd probably, if you actually did it, you would probably start to find more consistency, right? But accountability is difficult. There's a lot of challenges that come with that. And I find that most agents aren't good with this. Most office managers, most sales managers are not good with accountability. And so number one, it a lot of times doesn't even happen. Or number two, it happens, but the way it's happening isn't working, right? It's actually causing team members to just feel like they're being micromanaged and feel like, they've got someone breathing down their neck, and it actually pushes them away rather than pulls them in. And so accountability can be challenging, but today I want to talk to you about something that most agents are not doing, and something that will help agents actually hold their team members accountable so that we can get results, okay? And so most agents don't do this. Most sales managers, most office managers do not do this, but it is the best way that you can hold your team accountable. Okay, so what makes accountability difficult? Well, from what I have seen, accountability isn't happening in our agencies because agents don't want to micromanage. Sales managers, office managers don't want to micromanage. We don't want to be breathing down people's necks. And so we don't end up holding them accountable in any way. We don't want to push them out. We don't want to try to hold them to a higher standard with the risk of them being like, you know what, screw this, I'm going somewhere else. Like, we don't want to push them out. And I've talked to a lot of agents where it's almost like they're hesitant to raise the standard. They're hesitant to implement any sort of accountability because they don't want to push them out. They want to retain that team member. They want to keep them around longer. And they fear that if I raise the standard, if I start holding them accountable and do stuff that I haven't done, they're not going to like that. And they're going to be looking elsewhere for a job, right? So I can see why accountability is something that doesn't happen because we don't want to push people out. Another reason that I've seen as far as why accountability is not happening is because, simply put, we don't know how. We don't know how to hold our team members accountable, so we don't end up doing it. Another thing that I've seen, which I think is so funny, is that agents seem to think, office managers seem to think that they can outsource accountability to someone else or to a different company. You know, I get on the phone with agents all the time and they're like, I want you guys to hold my team members accountable. And I always think that's just so funny because it's something that really can't necessarily be outsourced. I mean, it can, but when we outsource it and do it like that, like it's taking power away from the agency, from the agent, from the office manager. And we're delegating that to a company like Team Member Perspective or different sales trainers and coaches. The problem with that is when that sales trainer or that coach or that company is removed from, actually doing the training and consistently doing it, they go back to doing the same thing that they were doing before they got the coach. It doesn't become something that sticks. But honestly, guys, I just don't really think that outsourcing accountability is the most effective way to do it. I believe accountability should be happening in-house. Okay. And then a very common reason that I see that agents and office managers, sales managers aren't holding their team members accountable is because they simply forget to do it, right? Like, agents are busy on their trips. Like, you qualified for all last year's production and you're on your trips in the summer, you're going with your family, you're on the golf course, and there's just so much to keep up with that we forget, right? Office managers, we're trying to hit these different promotions and, we've got so much on our plate. We're trying to keep up with underwriting emails and we forget to do it. And so accountability can be difficult, okay? But there is this one thing that agents can do, or even office managers, sales managers can do that will help hold your team members accountable. I believe that this is the best way that you as the agency owner, that you as the office manager can hold your team members accountable, and hold them accountable in a way that actually drives production, that helps them have this like deeper desire to improve and do more and make more money and maximize their compensation. And it's commission reviews. Okay, guys, commission reviews are so powerful. And I can say this because this is something that the agent that I worked with would do with me every single month. We would do a mini commission review. Okay, so what this would look like is, I would get paid my commission check the first of the month for last month's production. And I'd get paid, I think, like on the 5th. Anyways, anywhere from the 1st to the 4th, the agent and I would sit down for about 5 to 15 minutes, nothing crazy, and we would break down the commission schedule, right? The commission plan, and we would plug in my results from the previous month into this, okay? Now, this did a few things. Number one, it helped me see where I was leaving money on the table, right? Because of my commission plan, if I sold certain amounts of products, I would get different tiers, give different percentages on the commission that I was making. And I remember just being a team member going to these commission reviews, and I would leave with so much clarity. I would leave with so much like drive and motivation to not have that happen again the next month. It brought focus for me on what I should be spending my time, my training time learning to do so that I could maximize my compensation. I hated leaving money on the table as a team member when I would make a commission. And so these commission reviews really brought light as to where I was leaving money on the table. And just by showing me this gap, it created this natural demand for me to want to go fill it and not have that happen again next month, right? Because like if I had a tier where if I sold over 5 life apps, I could increase my percentage on my commission of that annual premium, but I only sold 4 life apps that month. The agent and I would walk through this and say, hey, if you would have just sold 1 more app, look how much more money you would have made. And that was so powerful powerful. I never felt like he was micromanaging me. And I honestly looked forward to these reviews, and it was a way for me to be held accountable. Okay. Now, I want to talk about some benefits of this commission review, and we've kind of talked about some of them, but the first benefit that I see is it reinforces the habit of goal setting, right? Every single month, the agent and I were able to sit down and look at my goals and see where I was coming in with my goals to see kind of that gap, right? And it kept me thinking bigger. It kept my goals top of mind. And so instead of just setting my goals once a year and never talking about them again until it's been a year, it was like every single month, I almost could see where I was matching up with my goals. Okay, so it kept my goals top of mind. I almost felt like it was almost like production checkpoints, right? Because like I set goals and I wanted to go out and hit those goals. These commission reviews were almost checkpoints that allowed me to make sure that I was spending my time in the best way that I could and made sure that my goals took priority, because I mean, both you and I know that like agency's busy. There's a lot that demands our attention as team members that sometimes we just forget. And when we forget, it means we're just not talking about our goals. We're forgetting them. They're taking a back seat because we're just trying to keep up with everything else. These commission reviews were production checkpoints that helped me remember my goals and almost took it from like this big old goal and made it smaller, but also kept me on track with my production. What I really loved about these commission reviews is it connected the commission to actual money, right? Like it made it personal for me to know like, okay, hey, right here in this part of the commission structure, you are leaving a lot of money on the table because you're not selling life insurance, you're not selling health insurance products. And, being able to see like the dollar amount that I left on the table, like I hated that, but I hated it in a way that like caused me to want to go out and change that next month, right? So it connected my production to the actual money and the commission that I didn't get because I didn't max out that part of the compensation. It totally created a demand for me to just want to do more, want to do better next month, which I mean, it's self-explanatory as to why it does that, right? Like when I could see it and see where I was leaving money on the table, it totally created a demand for me to want to do better, want to do more, and really understand like what training that I needed to get there, right? It brought this focus onto what I needed to work on so that I wouldn't leave that money on the table again next month. And you know what? Like it reinforced the income producing activities. It helped me remember, it helped me keep top of mind that like, look, anything that's going to drive revenue, anything that's going to drive my production so I can make more money, that is going to be priority. And it's so simple, but it's like when we're talking about these income producing activities, it's communicating that they're important, right? But what I see far too often is like we talk about it, but then we don't, right? We talk about it for a month or two when we're in a promotion, but then in the summer months when it gets slow, everybody's enjoying vacations, like we stop talking about the income producing activities. Now, stop talking about it, our focus shifts. Our focus shifts away from those income producing activities. And then like we're just order takers. We're just trying to keep up. We're barely breathing. We've got all these other things that are taking all of our time and attention when in all reality, it's like, look, it's the income producing activities that's going to help you make more money. And it kept those activities top of mind and helped me remember like, this is why you're here, dude. Like you're here to produce, you're here to sell, and this is what needs to take priority in your day. These commission reviews helped that and reinforced those activities. And when it's talked about and it's talked about consistently, it's easy to make that happen. It's easy to make that a habit. But when it's not, obviously it's not. And the last thing is I just felt like this was such a simple way that my agent could hold me accountable like a leader, right? Like for me as a team member, I view the agent that I work for as a leader. I view him as a mentor, someone that I highly respect. And I never felt like I was micromanaged. I never, felt like, he was kind of breathing down my neck. But on the flip side, I also never felt like he didn't care about my production, because he did. And the way I knew that is because of these commission reviews. Those commission reviews communicated to me that production is important here and that we're trying to hit goals. And he communicated to me, you know what, Colter? You've set your goals for the year and I care about them. I care about them for you and I want to help you. I want to support you in any way that I can to hit those goals. And so he was able to hold me accountable like a leader would. So guys, these commission reviews have the ability to completely change accountability in your office, completely change the culture of what we choose to focus on. When production is talked about, production increases. Whatever we talk about, whatever we choose to focus on, on will expand. I truly believe that. And so if you want an increase, a boost in your team members' production, if you want your team members to be more consistent, I would evaluate your accountability efforts. And if you're not doing commission reviews, here is your sign to start. Now, the other thing that agents can do to hold their team members accountable is consistent training. This is something my agent did really well. Like, we were always training. And, I think about this a lot. And, it wasn't just the consistent training, but it was the training that we all needed. It was the training, like, in the details, in the conversations that would actually help me sell more, that was valuable, but it was also a matter of keeping things top of mind. For example, I remember, my agent, connected with an agent. He's like, hey, there's this new tool out there. It's called Stairs and Buckets. And it's one of the simplest tools that team members are using all over the country to sell life premium. And so he got involved with that. And we had Stairs and Buckets as a tool in our office. Well, we started training on it, and I started to set annual life reviews and started to use this tool. And sure enough, I was following the process that I was taught, and I started writing bigger life premium cases. I remember, one of my first appointments, I finished the appointment selling like a 200 plus a month life policy. And, that was something that I hadn't really done before. And I just remember using this tool and thinking, like, this is freaking awesome. Like, that was so simple. Well, time goes on. We keep using this. We trained on it. Well, we eventually stopped talking about it. We eventually stopped training on it like we had earlier. And guess what happened? I stopped setting annual life reviews. I stopped sharing people this video. And I stopped, having that type of production because it just was something that I wasn't doing. And I think about that a lot. And I think about, like, accountability. And it wasn't that I didn't know how to execute an annual life review with this Stairs and Buckets tool, because I had, and it had worked for me. It's that I just got busy. I just got inundated with the day-to-day of being a team member, with the underwriting emails, with trying to drum up new business and go for auto and home, to working lists and, making sure that everything was issuing. And, we were short-staffed for a time. And so trying to keep up with the phone calls coming in. It wasn't that I didn't know how to do it. It was that I just simply forgot. And I forgot. I think about this a lot because it wasn't kept top of mind like it was when I was actually using it. We stopped talking about it. And so we forgot to do this. Even though we knew how to do it, we just forgot. And so the simple fact of just not keeping it top of mind, like it showed in my production, I wasn't using anymore, so I wasn't getting those results. And so keeping things top of mind for me was another way that I was able to be held accountable, right? Just simply reminding me, hey, Colter, we're in this promotion. This is a great list to run to go out and get some life apps. Hey, Colter, you're taking a lot of those service calls. Anytime someone calls in and they have a mortgage, boom, you can position life insurance in this way. Colter, anytime someone calls in to make a payment, we're in this health promotion. You can position short-term disability income as insurance payment protection, right? And so it was, keeping these different plays and strategies and processes top of mind that allowed for the consistency to happen. I believe that as team members, for myself, like, I just needed to be reminded more than I needed to be taught. And so the simple act of keeping these things top of mind will help our team members become more consistent, will help them start selling more. Because when we talk about something, we focus on that something. When we stop talking about that something, we forget about that something, because there's so much that requires our time and attention that if we're not intentional, if we're not talking about it consistently, we can't be surprised when we don't have consistent production in those areas. So training, right? Train your team at least weekly. Keep these things top of mind. Now, the cool thing is like, agents, you guys can do this. You can train your teams. And if you don't want to train your teams, you've got office managers, you've got sales managers, you can give ownership to your team members to do that. And heck, if you're like, I would just rather outsource it. I would just rather have my team members plug into other team members and other agencies that already have this like proven track record of success. Like, why would I try to reinvent the wheel? And like, if we're going to be training, we might as well train effectively. We might as well like actually learn how we can actually start selling more. If you're thinking that way, then hey, plug into the team member perspective. Click that link in the description, jump on a call with me. We've got a few different ways where you and your team can get involved with us, but our whole goal is to help your team members remember to run different processes, different plays, so that they can keep their production consistent, right? Our whole goal is to keep these different life insurance plays, health insurance plays, whether it's service calls that we're taking every day, whether it's certain lists that we can run proactively and call and position life insurance in certain ways, ways, whether it's review appointments or even how do we do it with new business. Our goal is to keep all of these opportunities top of mind and trained on so that your team, when they're out on the phones, when they're busy, they're going throughout their day, they remember to run the play. It's what I like to call opportunity awareness. They remember that, hey, I just got a customer on the phone and this customer is calling in to add their vehicle. This new vehicle has a loan on it. I'm gonna run the car loan process play, right? It's opportunity awareness. We need to be reminded more than we need to be taught. And so if you're like, you know what? Yep, we need to do better. We need to get more consistent with our training. Click the link in the description. Let's connect. And we'd love to help you. But guys, like, accountability is tough, but it doesn't have to be tough. This commission review and consistent training, consistent keeping things top of mind. I mean, if you started to implement both of those things, I would bet that your production from your team would go up. I would bet that your team members would start making more money. I would bet that when they make more money, they're going to be happier, right? They're going to have a new confidence and they're going to really enjoy their role working in your agency. And I believe that, if we can get them making money and seeing that bigger commission check, and if we can get them to enjoy their role more and find some fulfillment in the role, they're going to stick around with you longer, which means you're going to have to hire less and you're going to be able to keep people longer and keep people longer that are actually producing. So commission reviews, hold them with each of your team members that makes a commission check. It will bring so much light to what they need to do to get better, to become more consistent and to sell more and train your team consistently. I'm telling you, they need to be reminded more than they need to be taught. Appreciate you guys, and we will catch you in the next one.